drugs.
Hey, it's me again. Time flies. We just entered the 2020s, but 2010, 13 fucking years ago. At the time, I was like a shithead 8-year-old kid eating applesauce, looking up how to make torches on Minecraft Wiki. Like most of you at home, I'm sure the Consciousness DLC was still being downloaded into my brain, so I have actually very few like memories from that year. I remember the big things from that year. I think I remember Spain won the World Cup that year. That was a big deal. Foursquare with my friends at recess, I think. And I remember watching my first movie in theaters. My parents were smart and decided not to bring a crying baby to my 2 p.m. showing of Avatar: The Way of Water. Why were there so many fucking babies in my theater for that movie? Out of a combination of like being respectful to moviegoers in general and also my continued hatred of loud noises, if I'm being honest, I did not go to see my first movie in theaters until I was 8. And if I'm being honest, it remains one of my clearest memories of that year. And for that reason alone, I'll always have like a special nostalgic connection with How to Train Your Dragon. For me, honestly, it honestly might be the most consistently good trilogy of movies of all time. What I mean by that is I think the median quality of these movies is like greater than like The Lord of the Rings and Alien and Star Wars and fucking The Godfather. And now you're thinking, who the fuck is this guy who likes Hiccup more than Don Corleone? If I should listen to anything he has to say, that's on you for assuming I have anything important to say in the first place. I'm the prince of bullshit. Look, my point is this. I'll defend this trilogy of movies to the death, possibly. But at the end of the day, How to Train Your Dragon has the same core principle message that most of these other kids' movies have. Okay, I'm sacrificing style for functionality. I don't look good from this angle at all, but I am comfortable. When movies tell kids it's okay to be themselves, they are not wrong by any fucking means. It's definitely important to instill this idea in the minds of children because God knows it's gonna get dismantled in high school. Kids are not gonna fucking understand, like, mature relationship dynamics and deep-rooted economic problems. But if little Timmy is, like, getting bullied at school for liking Pokemon, then, like, he's gonna feel really good when somebody tells him that it's okay to have a thing for Charizard, platonically. And at the end of the day, unless you're a handful of key people, it is okay to be yourself. As long as you're not actively contributing to the downfall of society or hurting anybody, what's the harm with cuddling up to Mewtwo every now and then? I'm being weird about the Pokemon. As adults, we kind of give less of a fuck about this stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're still judgmental assholes who can't let people be who they fucking are still. But most of us are so much more comfortable in our skin now than we were in middle school, so I don't think it's a mistake that adult movies don't really have this kind of same individualistic messaging that kids' movies have. What I'm gonna talk about today is movies that strike a balance. And it is such a hard fucking balance to strike. How do you relay mature themes to an entire audience of children without them getting bored? If you make it too intellectual, you're going to lose your entire target demographic. But if you make it too childish, you risk leaving no legacy at all. My generation's kids' movies that we all look back on with fondness, I think we have that fondness with them because we all enjoy them as adults. And I would argue that for most of the TV shows we grew up with as well. But with the Fortniteization, fuck you, of kids media nowadays, I'm gonna find it very interesting to see what kids nowadays look back on with the same fondness that we look back on all these movies for. I do genuinely think it's so much more nuanced of a conversation than like, entertainment nowadays is so corporate and industrial. Boom. All the last 5 years. All better than the movies that we grew up with, I would argue. I don't give a fuck. Okay, look. I know I just did what I do best. Taking an actually good point and then bringing up all these weird counter arguments and ideas until like neither of us know what the fuck I'm talking about anymore. Where are we? Remember when I was talking about fucking toothless these nuts? Okay, all of this weird bullshit that I've said so far leads me to saying that I appreciate when kids' movies are more risky and less formulaic, because I think historically it's led to the best results. And I think usually the mark of a successful legacy for these kids' movies is how accessible the movie is to audiences that aren't kids. And I think it's no mistake that the kids' movies that have survived the longest strongest among my generation are also the kids' movies that have all of these deeper thematic undercurrents on top of telling kids it's okay to be themselves. It's so fucking hard to strike that balance, dude. To keep two entirely different demographics interested in the same piece of media for like relatively different reasons. For instance, kids love the new Puss in Boots because it's a colorful explosion of a movie with hilariously original characters and really fun action set pieces. And adults love it for all of those reasons too, but are also able to get maybe a little more out of it thematically than kids are. You know, it's a movie about acceptance and having faith in mortality and this ever-looming demise that always sits in the back of our minds. And if a third grader told me that was why he liked the movie, I would be like, what the f-? I'm not saying all kids are stupid and can't pick up on these themes, because if that was the case, I don't think they would exist in kids' movies to begin with. It's important to tell kids to be themselves, but it's also important to introduce them to potentially mature or adult ideas at an early age in a way that is approachable and swallowable. Should not be using the word swallowable when talking about kids. This is why I have nothing but respect. I always say that at the beginning of my videos. For kids movies that for kids movies that successfully incorporate mature themes into their kids movies. God, it took me so long to get here this time around. All these movies tell kids that it's okay to be themselves. It's classic. But the movies that I'm going to talk about on this list, my little thin list that I have, the movies that I'm going to talk about today do a really good job of introducing kids to shit they're going to grapple with their whole lives. Okay. I'm so sorry for talking for so long. Dude, does anybody care about any of this? I'm fucking sitting in bed. I'm in bed. I'm a cozy man. Well, that said, I think it's finally time I end this long-ass introduction and get into my list. And if we're talking about shit that kids are gonna have to grapple with their whole lives, I think maybe there's no better place to start than the big scary C word. That fucking flannel outfit's a bitch to put on right now, man. I'm wearing this green shirt now. Dude, economics is already a supremely confusing field for me. And this might be a little embarrassing to admit, but as a 20-year-old still kind of like entering the job market, I have no clue how, like, taxes work or what a 401k is or what a fucking Roth IRA is. And I'm a particularly stupid person, but I feel like I'm echoing a sentiment that's been pretty widespread throughout my generation. Economics and capitalism are inherently complex subjects, and I don't feel too bad not understanding them at this point in my life, but imagine explaining them to a fucking 8-year-old. And I think this is why we rarely see such like deep economic themes in kids movies. There are commentaries on corporations for sure, but I think kids movies dealing in raw capitalism are few and far between, which is why when kids movies decide to tackle introducing this horribly exploitative economic system to children, I'm always interested in how they do it. And there's one movie in particular that I think nails it. If you know me, you know it's coming. Turns into day, have I given enough? Boom, given enough. I love the Lego movie. I don't shut the fuck up about it, dude. I love that movie. But also at the same time, whenever I think about it, I'm like kind of torn. Because on one hand, it is a 2-hour advertisement for a company that has an absolute monopoly on the industry that they're a part of. But it functions within that rubric to become like this awesome critique of the economic system that allowed for this monopoly to happen in the first place. I'm losing you, aren't I? Gotta bring back the Subway Surfer. At the end of the day, the Lego movie has the exact same it's okay to be yourself kind of messaging that most of these other kids movies have. But Emmett's journey to find that out takes him through this horribly capitalistic world. The villain's name is fucking Lord Business. Like, they literally make an enemy out of the concept of like economic work. And as an adult watching this movie, it's not exactly subtle in its criticisms. But as a kid, I wasn't fucking thinking about functioning within economic rubrics. I was thinking about Legos. And this is why I constantly grapple with this movie. Can it simultaneously
be an advertisement for a monopolistic corporation and also a critique of capitalism. And after years of sitting with this movie and rewatching it and talking to people about it, I think I can conclusively answer that question with a yes. Because the Lego movie isn't made by the Lego Corporation. I mean, they absolutely had a say in the final outcome, and I'm sure financially they were very helpful. It's Lego, it's Warner Brothers, but it's also Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. I think they use this giant economic platform that also does function as an advertisement for Lego to make these critiques and ultimately criticize the very system that the movie was made in. Boo! Got you, bitch. So now I think the question becomes, did I understand any of this economic context as a 12-year-old? Fuck no. 12-year-old Finian did not have the tools of analysis to come to these conclusions on his own, okay? He just figured out the cobblestone generator. So then, in my opinion, the question becomes, are these economic criticisms being successfully relayed to a younger audience? It doesn't matter if adults can perfectly understand this movie. Is this movie gonna make kids think about society or wanna go buy Legos at Target? And this is gonna be a really unsatisfying answer. I'm super sorry, but again, both are true. And you can see why I have a hard time fucking thinking about this movie, right? I think the more you think about it, the more messy it gets. I did not really think about capitalistic critiques when I saw this movie as a 12-year-old, but I did think about the terrifying power of economic monopoly. Obviously, I didn't think about it in those words as a kid. I was probably more like, the big company bad. But even the inkling of this idea, I would argue, is enough to get the point of the movie across. Did I want the sick-ass Emmett and Wild Style Lego set from Target? Of course I did. But was I also terrified that one corporation could control everything I consume? Also, yes. Kids are gonna want Legos anyways. Hell, I'm gonna want Legos anyways. But in the sea of corporate advertisements directed towards kids nowadays, I think if one of those giant advertisements has at least an ounce of self-awareness around it, maybe that's the one to be paying attention to, if any of them are worth paying attention to at all. I don't fucking know. I feel like I've left us with more questions than we started with, which is what I do best. Okay, look. I think it's really important to introduce kids to these themes that they can start grappling with from a young age. But capitalism and economic structure, they're not really gonna have to worry about until at least high school. And most of us college kids coast by on whatever our parents provide for us, me included. So I think maybe it's important to start thinking about how the economic landscape functions at an early age. I also don't think it is a surprise that kids don't fucking care. And honestly, why should they? They're too busy fucking thirsting over Pikachu. I gotta stop with the Pokemon. Kids care about what immediately affects them. And while the Lego movie is a great movie that I would argue introduces all these themes correctly to kids, there's still a lot more they're gonna care about in their lives beyond being comfortable in their own skin. It's Okay to Be Yourself is a classic. It's something that should absolutely be propelled and championed in kids' media. But with that comes the idea that it's okay for other people to be themselves. Specifically, two very important people in the lives of a lot of these kids. Look at my guy. He's so cool. I wish I was him. There are fucking bugs over here, man. Okay, kids' movies have kids protagonists. Very simple. So that means parents are gonna be everywhere in kids' media. Rarely are they such a focus or a central theme of the movie, beyond just a supporting side character. Adult movies explore the fuck out of this parent-child relationship. We just saw one of those movies win the Oscar, extremely well-deserved, by the way. But rarely do I see parents in kids' media become more than a supporting side character. But rarely doesn't mean never. I'm fucking keeping this shot. I'm keeping it. It's good. It's a good day. Green. Okay, this is the one movie that had to be in this video. It's the one movie that you guys were all probably expecting from the get-go. It's the one movie that half of us couldn't even watch as kids. Obviously, the Henry Selickness of it all is nightmare fuel for children, but I think this movie has some really scary themes in it that are scary for kids as well. Coraline is a movie about a lot of things, but I think primarily it's a movie about appreciating what you have. Coraline hates her boring parents, gets a taste of what it's like to have a different family, and then learns to appreciate what she has at home. Pretty simple story with a pretty simple message, but I think the way they go about telling it gives it the status that it has today. I think Coraline is primarily scary for two reasons: how it looks and the way it portrays its message to kids. It looks fucked. We can all agree on that. Henry definitely did not pull any punches when he was cooking up that gas in the stew. But they could have conveyed this message in an entirely different way and would not have been nearly as effective. Coraline's message works because it's scary. She's transported from her normal life into a fucking abusive home situation to illustrate to kids that what they have could be so much worse. Their parents might not let them play Fortnite, but at least they don't fucking beat them or some shit like that. Obviously, that's a hyperbolic example. But I think subconsciously, Coraline forces kids to evaluate their parents in comparison to other parents. And again, like the Lego movie, like not all of this is going through a kid's head when they watch Coraline. An elementary schooler's not gonna fucking sit down and let me evaluate my home situation. But I think how stark the contrast is, that juxtaposition between the two sets of parents ingrains itself subconsciously in these kids' memories, and it kind of forces them to realize that what they have could be so much worse. And I think the horribly fucked aesthetic of everything really hammers home this idea of two different worlds: what is and what could be. And what could be is fucking terrifying. Ah, look at this. What would you know about this? You wouldn't know shit about this. We're on the move now. This is kind of cool. I kind of fuck with this. What? Oh my god. Is this like dangerous, you think? Okay. Turns out this is a lot more driving than talking. Especially when you have a script. Fuck. Parents can be horrible, vile creatures to their children. The idea of generational trauma is unfortunately a very realized one. But I do have to commend any piece of media that helps kids find like some sort of solace in their parents, or start thinking about this weird relationship dynamic with them that's going to change over the course of their whole fucking lives. It's not a perfect movie by any means, but I think it accomplishes everything it sets out to do. Also, the soundtrack is phenomenal too. If you listen to this song while doing literally anything, it makes it 10 times better. I promise you, I promise you, I promise. And that actually goes for most kids movies now that I think about it. Whoa. There are a ton of iconic animated soundtracks and theme songs and stuff. The Monsters Inc. theme, all the way to the Up theme, all the way to fucking whoever the fuck my favorite fearless hero is. Time and time again, the music of these movies is so special. I wonder if this is foreshadowing. Adult movies tend to be a lot more about life and existentialism and purpose and stuff like that. Life's grand meaning and design, and the fact that we're all monkeys on a spinning space rug, man. You want a hit of this? But kids' movies rarely have these kinds of existentialist themes in them, because I think we agree they should all be allowed to complete the tutorial first before they realize that the world sucks and everything is meaningless and Sisyphus isn't happy, he's pissed. And I think one of these key themes that all of us grapple with over the course of our lives is purpose. What we're supposed to do. Why we're here, what any of this fucking means. Instilling any notion of existentialism in kids is arguable for sure. You can't just give fucking kids Sartre and Kierkegaard. But I think any movie that makes the grand, unforgiving nature of the universe seem not horrible is like at least a little bit commendable, right? Oh shit, I gotta order. Can I have a venti iced blonde vanilla latte, please?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Don't look at me like that. Don't fucking judge me for my Starbucks order. You get some horrible shit, I bet. I bet you get fucking feces. Once again, I've said a bunch of grand bullshit to get to one sentence. That's just how I roll. My thesis is this. While it might be risky to incorporate such psychologically heavy themes into kids' media, it also might be the lightest and most fun way to explore them. And if all of this talk of music and purpose hasn't given it away yet, then maybe we should just get started. Car. I either finish this section or get heat struck. We're gonna see what happens first. I'm soaking wet. relax. Soul to me is a testament that the old early 2000s Pixar, Disney, DreamWorks animation magic is still very much alive today. And maybe that's just because Pete Docter is the common link between all these movies, but Soul feels like a classic movie, but also at the same time feels kind of refreshing and new. I grew up between like the hyperactive Fortnite kids and the millennial 90s kid. Yo, kids born between 1998 and 2003 are elite. Shout out to you. Shut the fuck up. I did not fully grow up in the age of the internet like the generation after me, but I didn't really have to evolve to like this new age of technology like the generation before me. I grew up in that weird fucking middle area of like Doodle Jump and the DSi. My understanding of life and its purpose and its meaning are very different to the kids generation today raised on the internet. Let me try to solidify what I'm talking about. As always, thank you for bearing with whatever the fuck is going on up there. I want to make content. In the end, I want to make art, but I want to leave a long-lasting legacy through my craft. And I want my art to have a similar effect on other people as other people's art has had on me. And I think this is what I've decided my purpose is at this point. I'm going to have the most fulfilling life if I have a satisfying creative outlet and other people ascribe value to me by enjoying what I do. I can see you, you know. Don't make me get the Subway Surfer. I think a kid growing up right now, today, surrounded by the beautiful atrocity that is the internet, is gonna have a completely different understanding of purpose and ascribed value and meaning than I do and what I think. I guess what I'm trying to say is, without sounding too much like a fucking dinosaur, I think having like a reasonably concrete understanding of your life's purpose and a little bit of its meaning maybe and things like that contributes to a notion of psychological well-being. And I think the internet is contributing to this growing idea of like aimlessness and meaninglessness in the younger generation. And there's a really weird dichotomy here. Because on one hand, there's kids like me wanting to be famous, artistically impactful, and it being so easy to have a legacy and leave a meaningful impression on other people's lives these days. But because of this, because everyone is constantly shouting into this sea of opinions and people told that they're special all their lives, being a daily part of this cyclone of digital insanity kind of reminds me that everything is fucking meaningless at the end of the day. Which is why perhaps now more than ever, it's important to have these rays of sunlight in the darkness like Soul. Because Soul is a movie about all of this depressing bullshit, about existentialism and purpose and meaning, but it makes it so colorful. It's you know, it's vibrant, it's wonderful, and beyond appreciating what you have, it makes you appreciate that you're even here to begin with in the first place. And in an age of mental health and the ramifications of the internet, I think that's a really important message. Kids are about to embark on the entirely meaningless journey that is their lives, and they need the tools to find solace and meaning in it. Did I low-key ignore Soul to talk about these, you know, overarching problems that I have? Absolutely I did. But I really do think the content of the movie is a lot less important than what it represents in the grand scheme of things. But, well, that probably is because of the content of the movie though, right? We're gonna move on before we think about anything too much. Okay, next, I was gonna talk about Zootopia and racism, but that's boring. Zootopia, well, no, Zootopia is not boring. I mean, race, well, I really wanted to awkwardly shove in Kung Fu Panda into this video, but I think I have to accept that those movies are like the epitome of it's okay to be yourself. But Poe, and some of you might be saying I'm not being like versatile enough in my examples. I should talk about like, I don't know, Bambi. Fuck Bambi. I'ma kill me and Thumper in a murder-suicide, and it's gonna be graphic, and you're gonna be able to see his prefrontal cortex drying in patches of his fur, and Flower is next. I just don't think those movies were made under the same context, and they're old, and I don't understand them, and Bambi is mid. But look, I am gonna be honest, we might have a Kung Fu Panda situation on our hands. I might just love this movie so much that I'm just like using this video as an excuse to talk about it when it is kind of, it's okay to be yourself. But we're going to explore this movie together, and we're going to see what we find. And who knows, we might come out the other side finding something. Of course we are. This video is scripted. Yep. You wish I was joking right now so bad. This is what we're doing. I know. You're fuming right now. Look at you. You're waiting for me to say I'm kidding. Well, tough luck. Because I'm not. This is really happening. Just sit with that for a second. I just hit you with a psycho level plot twist. The dynamic of the Emoji Movie is an interesting one because on one hand, I had you for a second though. Come on, I had you for a second. You were like, are you fucking kidding me, bro? There's no way. I had... Be the
fucking club bathroom mixing Xanax and Tramadol.
What I'm gonna argue is that you're a cute little girl. What I'm gonna argue is that Ratatouille has one central message that means a lot of different things.
Ratatouille's core message is a really simple one, but when applied to the various characters of the movie, it reveals a lot of different themes and stuff like that.
And that message is this: anyone can cook. And the most obvious meaning that anyone can cook has is, fucking say it with me now, it's okay to be yourself.
But upon further inspection, Ratatouille is also about class dynamics and relationships, and fuck it, it's about meaning too.
And it wraps all of these different themes under the nice little bow of anyone can cook. Turtle, if you want me to play with you, you have to come up here and be in the video. I have to take a picture of what my cat is doing right now. Can you guys fucking see this? What is that?
Ratatouille's Paris is an idyllic paradise of
Romance and lights and good food.
and the best chef out of all of these elite motherfuckers is a fucking rat. Remy comes from squalor and dirt, and despite his poor upbringing, he provides intense economic value.
And through his passions, he's able to change his relationship with his parents and prove his value to them. And on top of all of this, it asks questions about what our destiny is, who we're meant to be, what we should be doing, all of because of this fucking rat.
And I really do think the insane legacy that this movie has today is due to its accessibility. Dude, it's been over like 15 fucking years since this movie came out, and I still encounter this movie on like a weekly basis. Whether that be like memes or videos or talking about it with people, it's still insanely relevant.
It's untouchable. It's a filmmaking cornerstone. It's a cinematic achievement.
It's an essential blend of themes and metaphors, and on top of all of this, it's fucking Ratatouille.
The world is a depressing and dismal place. Between movies and the internet, we constantly get bombarded with how shitty everything is.
And I think that's, it's important to understand that. I mean, the world can be a really shitty place. It's important to grasp how dark it can be sometimes. But kids don't need to fucking know that yet.
Kids are fucking stupid. I mean, impressionable.
And the media they consume has a really tangible impact on their little malleable minds. I just want to squish them like a stress ball.
And while there is absolutely a place for kids media made solely for kids, it seems like the longest lasting legacies that these movies leave are when they're accessible to everybody, seamlessly blending more mature themes into a childlike presentation.
And while the state of media and media consumption has definitely changed over the past couple decades, people are only getting more creative with blending adult-oriented stuff and kids-oriented stuff together into one stuff. And after all of that, thank you, by the way, the moral of the story is to watch the new Puss in Boots movie. It's so good.
Dude, that's lit. And you should start advertising that shit.
I really want to,
Start streaming.
it's just like when I stream Star Citizen, sometimes I get like I told you, I get
Yeah,
a whole
those
set of
fucking
like
nerds.
fucking nerds in there.
It's like, here's my 60-page mining spreadsheet.
Yeah. I think I might do CS2 or something.
Fuck yeah, that'd be hype.
I really want, I need to figure out how to like
Get streaming, that's fair, yeah. I'll
like-
fucking follow you.
Thank you. you should in the stream sometimes be like, yo, my homie does.
Yo, this my guy!
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out.
That'd be hype.